Welcome to SplitSecond. If you want to buy the best sleeves or other magic-related accessories, head down to Dragon Shield using the affiliate link below. This week we decided to play a mono-red pod. Val brought his Squee the Immortal Storm once again. Elder is on a Krenko mob boss combo list. Diogo pulled an Atsushi the Blazing Sky list full of potential, and Late transformed his mono-red stacks list for Purphoros to be more combo-oriented in this pod. Val is going first and he mulligan once, not wanting to go lower, a Mountain, Scalding Tarn and Shatter Skull Smashing for lands. Birgi and Purphoros are both combo pieces and he still has 2 pieces of removal in Lightning Bolt and Wild Magic Surge. Elder mulligan once and kept a Mountain, Prismatic Vista and Arid Mesa for lands, with a Mox Diamond for ramp. Grenzo have a Crazer on turn 1 can start generating quite some good value. Battlecry Goblin is a haste enabler for Krenko, as well as mana dump to pump his team. Share the Spoils is semi-card advantage on a trial run. Diogo also mulligan once and found a Mountain and Wooded Foothills for lands, with Springlet Drum for semi-ramp but quite great coupled with Magda. Runaway's Steamkin is a helpful combo piece and Mystic Forge allows him to sense his top loops with Birgi. Walking Ballista is an outlet to infinite mana and can also slowly police the board if needed. Finally, Late mulligan down to 6, having found plenty of mana, 2 Mountains paired with the Mox Diamond, Mana Crypt and Sol Ring for ramp. From there he can police the board with Siege Gang Commander as well as burn his opponents for 8. He sent the Cursed Totem to the bottom. Before we start, in case you missed it, our special Christmas giveaway is reaching its end next week. So, if you want to win such cool prizes like these playmats, deck box or an assortment of sleeves, including a special pack of SplitSecond sleeves, check out the description below for more details. All thanks to our sponsor Dragon Shield. Now, let's get into this crazy mono-chromatic match. Val starts the game with his Scalding Tarn that he cracks for a Mountain and passes. Elder plays an Arid Mesa and cracks it for a Mountain. He casts a Mox Diamond, discarding another Mountain and casts a Grenzo Hava Crazer. Diogo gets to his turn, plays a Mountain and casts a Springleaf Drum, ending the turn. Late plays a Mountain and proceeds to dump his hand, Mox Diamond discarding a Mountain, Mana Crypt, followed by Sol Ring and casts his Commander Purphoros on turn 1. With 2 cards in hand, he passes. Val top decks a Jewel Lotus that he casts. He plays a Mountain and casts his Commander Squee the Immortal. Elder draws and goes to combat. He attacks Diogo with Grenzo, triggering and revealing a Desperate Ritual. He then plays a Prismatic Vista and cracks it for a Mountain, to then cast the Desperate Ritual, and follow it with his Commander Krenko mob boss. We're back to Diogo's turn. He plays a Wooded Foothills and cracks it for a Mountain. He then casts Magda, Brazen Outlaw and taps her with Springleaf Drum, creating a treasure that he cracks to cast a Runaway Steamkin, and ends his turn. Leighton taps and wins the crit roll. He plays a Mountain and casts Siege Gang Commander, entering play and creating 3 goblins, which eventually triggers Purphoros for 8 damage to each of his opponents. With the floating mana, he sacrifices 1 token to deal 2 damage at Magda and passes. In the end step though, Val casts a Lightning Bolt on Krenko and gets to his turn. He casts an Arcane Signet and then plays an untapped Shatter Skull the Hammer Pass, paying 3 life and passing with some interaction. Elder draws and jumps to combat. He attacks Diogo again, triggering Grenzo and exiling a Cursed Mirror. In the second main phase he casts a Share the Spoils, which is a card he wanted to test out as semi-knowledge pool. 4 cards are exiled and Elder just casts the Gamble, mostly to deprive it from his opponents. He searches for a Mana Crypt and randomly discards the Mana Crypt, what an entomb. He then exiles Anger to Share the Spoils and we're back to Diogo's turn. He casts a Sol Ring and follows it with Karn the Great Creator, to hopefully deprive his opponents from crazy Docksides. He upticks it on Late's Mox Diamond and then exiles a Simian Spirit Kite to cast Bal Sol Ring from Share the Spoils, subsequently exiling Jaxis the Troublemaker. He still casts a Walking Ballista on 1 and passes. Late gets to his turn and is once again safe from the crypt. He plays his Urza Saga from the Share the Spoils and exiles a Zealous Conscript, which they all laugh at how a combo piece is now available to anyone that can access Kiki-Jiki. He then attacks Karn with everything and Diogo blocks Siege Gang with the Ballista. Before the damage, he activates it, removing its counter to ping Bal's Squee, in order to untap with Karn still in play. However, Bal responds with a Deflecting Sword, changing the target to Diogo's Runaway Steamkin. Late then casts his top deck, a Wheel of Misfortune. Their hand sizes are quite low and the votes reveal only Elder doesn't draw and Late takes 9 damage. Val lost 3 combo pieces though. We're back to his turn and he plays a Barbarian Ring with Threshold online. He attacks Karn with Squee so Elder can unlock his Mox Diamond and still be present in the game, or else the scales could tip into Diogo and Late's favor. Speaking of Elder, he just drew and also attacked Karn, taking it down. He casts a Chromox, exiling a Goblin Chieftain to it. With it, he puts a Wheel of Fortune on the stack. Val exiles a Simian Spirit Guide to it and the wheel resolves. That's the reason he voted so low. He knew he could strip his opponent's hands now, actually saving the table from Diogo, who had the win in hand. He then plays a Hall of the Bandit Lord and casts an Aether Vial, ending the turn. Diogo plays a mountain and casts a Dragon Rage Channeler. He then casts a Lotus Petal, triggering Darcy and surveilling an Ancient Tomb. He now casts Jaxis the Troublemaker with its Blitz cost, from the Share the Spoils, now exiling a mountain. His deck is full of different combos to win, but different pieces were already exiled or discarded, so it's getting harder to find alliance. He casts a Goblin Engineer, entering play and searching for an Ashnod's Altar into his graveyard. He now activates Jaxis to create a copy of Goblin Engineer, and since he has Ashnod's Altar and Kiryu in his graveyard, Bal responds by activating his Barbarian Ring, to deal 2 damage to the Goblin Engineer. In a somewhat desperate move, Diogo responds with a Chaos Warp on the Engineer, in order to at least get something in return over it. He shuffles up and reveals a Kodak Shredder. He sadly goes to his end step where Jaxis is sacrificed to its Blitz trigger and he draws a card, ending the turn. Late is once again safe from his crypt. He draws and his Urza Saga gains its second ability. He plays a mountain and casts Bal's Worst Nightmare, Norin the Wary. Purphoros triggers and his opponents take 2. He then casts Zealous Conscripts from the Share the Spoils, triggering Norin to be exiled and exiling a Chandra Flamecaller. Zealous Conscripts enters play, triggering Purphoros for 2 more damage and stealing Grenzo. He then attacks with his army for 15 damage, Purphoros towards Diogo and everything else towards Bal. Diogo blocks with DRC and Bal takes the damage, triggering Grenzo and exiling 5 cards from his library. Late ponders if he goes for the Pyre, but eventually activates Siege Gang, sacrificing Grenzo to deal 2 damage to Bal's Squee, 2 birds with 1 stone. Bal lets Squee in his graveyard and in the end step, Norin returns to play, triggering Purphoros for 2 more damage. Bal draws.
Olha, e se eu mostrar isto ao Diogo, será que ele se culpa?
Maybe.
He then casts Faithless Looting, triggering Norin to be exiled. He discards 2 mountains and slams the Dockside Extortionist. It enters play, creating 12 treasures. He then plays a mountain and flashbacks the Faithless Looting, digging for something to use all his mana with. He discards 2 more lands and then casts an Underworld Breach. With that, he escapes his Cursed Mirror, entering play as a copy of Dockside Extortionist for 12 more treasures. He now considers Late's Chandra to dig deeper, but instead he casts Professional Facebreaker from his hand. He then activates it, cracking a treasure and revealing a Goblin Matron. He still needs one of 2 possible pieces, so he activates Facebreaker again and reveals a Joyous Familiar. That does the job. He escapes Birgi, God of Storytelling. He then casts Joyous Familiar, triggering Birgi for 1 red mana. He now escapes Purphoros, God of the Forge, costing only 3 mana and Birgi generates 1 more red mana. He follows it with Goblin Matron, triggering Birgi once again, and upon entering play, he searches for Skirk Prospector, which is the last piece of the puzzle. He casts it virtually for free, thanks to Birgi. Purphoros triggers and his opponents take 2 damage. He now sacrifices 3 goblins to the Prospector for 3 red mana, and escapes Dockside Extortionist for 12 more treasures and another Purphoros Shock. Now he casts Squee the Immortal from his graveyard, costing only 2 red mana thanks to Joyous Familiar, and generates 1 red mana with Birgi. Squee enters play and shocks his opponents through Purphoros. He then sacrifices Squee to Skirk Prospector for 1 red mana. This allows him to repeat the loop of casting Squee from his graveyard for free, and each time it enters play, Purphoros triggers and he kills his opponents with the God. GG. Thank you for joining us for today's match, everyone. Late's fast start allowed him to place the board with Siege Gang, and Grenzo was quite a good card advantage piece as well as Share the Spoils. Karn slowed most of the artifact mana from players, but Diogo was missing some creatures to defend it. Late's Wheel of Misfortune gave Diogo a winning hand, but Elder was ready to counteract with his own Will, which eventually gave Bal access to Dockside and Breach. With enough mana, Faithless Looting and Professional Facebreaker allowed Bal to find the missing pieces to combo. We'd like to start the credits by thanking our current patrons, and especially Izanagi, TJ Rap, Ajimu, Drunkenhouse Cat, V, RJ, Heated Chill, Pina, Ricardo, Dragonsteak, Katerina, Super Scaldi, Dog, Wicked, Zinan, New Gunsmith, and CJ Wally, our stack breakers. If you want to support us, you can do so by liking this video, subscribing, or by becoming a patron yourself. If you want to go through other Commander adventures, click one of the videos on the right. If you want to talk with us about our games or other EDH related matters, join us on Discord. Join us again next week for a new set of commanders and more decisive plays. See you all then.